In part three of this series, we talked about CSST program instances, scheduled program instances, and the ability to use those as associated program to create linkages between service delivery records and the associated program, and also to automatically create enrollment records as a part of that process. Let us note, just in passing here, that in addition to the service delivery form, other forms in CSST also have that capability for associated programs, and those include the Home Energy Assistance Form, the Transitional Housing Form, the Emergency Assistance Form, the Housing Counseling Form, the Diversion Form, the Homeless Management for HEMIS form, and the weatherization form. So all of those have associated program drop-down lists that function in exactly the same way as they do in the service delivery form in terms of creating a link between that particular record in that form, that's the case record in that form, and the associated program, and also to create the automatic enrollment records. And each one of those forms has a set of 3 system constants similar to the ones that we discussed in the service delivery form. Those are documented in the documentation for those forms. It's available online via the CSST Online FTP server. In this set, we want to talk about the ability to edit those both enrollment and participation records. And the way that you do that is in the scheduling form. So if we bring up modules, service delivery scheduler, and it's on the enrollment page, and you'll notice that the limit by current checkboxes at the top will automatically come up limited to the client, whatever the current client is that you have selected. So we were looking at John Stein in the client's form. So the enrollment page list by default initially is limited to just the enrollment records for John Stein. If you want to see them all, you click the all checkbox on the limit by current series, and you'll get all enrollment records limited only by the between dates values at the top of the page. And of course, those values can be changed to limit the list of records that you're looking at. You can choose a particular program. If we go down and choose Alzheimer's and then check the checkbox for program, we're seeing only enrollment records for that particular Alzheimer's program. And as we've already seen, it can be limited to client. It can be limited to a combination of the two. So we pick Tunney here and then choose client. We're going to see only Mr. Tunney's enrollment records in the Alzheimer's program, since we have both checkboxes checked. Let's go back to all. The other thing that you can do with enrollment records on this page, and of course you do have the ability of a grid to sort by program name, as indicated by the red in the column header, but you can also sort by start date, by end date, by client name, and by withdrawal reason. So any one of the column headers could be used to sort that list and put it into an order that could be then printed simply using the print preview button up on the toolbar, which will give you an instant access report. And you can either group by program, or you can have the report with no grouping, in which case it will come up and show you something that looks like that. The other thing that you can do on this page is do editing of start date, end date, and withdrawal reason. And you pick a record in the list. You can change the start date in this text box at the bottom. You can change the end date, likewise in the text box underneath the end date column, and the withdrawal reason in the drop-down list underneath the withdrawal reason column. If you want to do that in bulk, you can click, you can control click or shift click to give you a set of records like this, and then change those record dates in bulk. So if we wanted to change this one to just, let's arbitrarily say make it 2010 instead of 2011, this date, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to change it for all selected lines? We say yes, and it changes all of those lines too. You see the dates are all now 2010 instead of 2011. That would be true for the end date and the withdrawal reason as well. You can edit those. Participation records. Now remember that enrollment records are a link between a client and a particular scheduled instance of a program. A scheduled instance meaning it has a start date and end date, a designated provider, and a designated location. Participation records, on the other hand, are simply records of a client's association with a program, not a scheduled instance of it, but some version of that program that was offered sometime during their course of being tracked by CSST data. So this is the only place, and remember we said in the earlier series that participation records are dated, but you can't edit that date except in one place, and that one place is here. The date will be the date that the record was originally created. And if you want to edit that date, you can do it here in the same way that enrollment records are edited, simply by highlighting the records, or just one, as the case may be, changing the date down at the bottom. Participation records, by their nature, do not have an end date. If your management decides that they want to use those participation records for reporting in some manner that would require or make useful an end date, you can enter an end date here in this page, and this is the only place that you can do that. Most people do not use that feature. Most of our CSST user agencies do not use that feature, but it is available should you decide to use it.